Welcome back, and let's continue making my tarot box. I now have a better direction of where I want to go with this. So I brought some double-sided tape. I have everything else here to the sides. And what I'm going to do here now is this, is going to be the internal part. We already put the magnet on the last video. And I want this interior to be black. So I have like some black paper here. What I'm going to do is stick it to this side here using the tape and adjust so that it folds in because of these like divisions here. And the outside we're going to deal with later. So let's just go and we can manage everything else on the way. Okay, so this double-sided tape is really strong. That's why I chose it. So I'm basically going to cover everything here on the surface with it. The best I can. Okay. And let's start by just doing like the margins, the borders, and I will decide by the end if I want to cover every single piece of surface with it or not. I think I probably will because it's going to make it more permanent and not leave like bubbles and stuff. Okay, and this one now. Great. Okay, so the middle also needs tape. Got it. Okay. Let's do this little bits here, like this. For that, I think I'm going to already take off the cover of the tape. Okay, and another piece here. Okay, I will put more tape in here. Let me see. Just for reinforcement and precaution so that everything sticks in very well. Okay. I actually prefer using double-sided tape to glue because I think it's less messy, you know, than liquid glue. but glue would totally work as well. And here. Okay. I'm going to put one in the middle here. That sounds about right. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Okay, so now I'm going to peel off the rest of the tape. Okay, so all peeled off. I am going to just put this on top. There's not much to worry about here, unless, you know, the paper is a little bit crumpled, but this one was very new, so it's all good. So what I'm going to do here now is cut off the excess paper, and I will come back in a minute. Okay, so it's all cut and I already folded it up. You can see there is a little bit of some imperfections here, but I intend on, first of all, these little imperfections on the long sides, they are going to be covered once everything is glued together like so. And these little top imperfections here, they are going to be covered up once I cover this back like a box, and we're going to have a little border of probably yellow because I want to use yellow as well. So there we go. That's it. I think that's going to work really well, and I think that I can glue it now, like here, these little areas. For that, I'm thinking about using this silicone glue that I have and hope that it like really sticks together. We'll see. Okay. I'm going to glue this one side first, and I probably have to hold it in place for a little bit because I don't have any tools that can like keep it in place by themselves. So I'll come back once it's stuck together. Okay, so it's all together. And let me just remember, this is my magnetic side. I was thinking about like covering it up here. To do that, I'm having to use this yellow paper. It's a different type of texture. It's not like shiny like this one. So I think it's going to deal a little bit better with the handling here and gluing and stuff. So I could either do like the same thing and just wrap it around. I also have this yellow tape that I was thinking about going around here as a extra like sticking and keeping it together element of things, so that like the glue is not completely dry, it's just enough to stick things together. So I'm thinking of using this tape, and after I wrap it all with this one, the tape is more like to keep them together and to cover these little top imperfections here that we have. So it's kind of making a little a border in here, something like this. So that's what I'm going to do. Maybe there's a smarter way to do that with only the paper, but I also am interested in the tape ability to help things stay together. So it's just going to be a little lip of tape on the inside. And since it's going to be covered once I wrap it on the yellow paper, I think I'm okay with that. Okay. And this tape here, it's kind of a painter's tape kind of material, similar at least, but it's really strong. Like for this purpose here, I think it's going to do exactly what I need it to do, but I'm not aligning it perfectly. No. Okay. Can do it. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, good. And I want my scissors that I don't remember what I put. They are down here on my shelf. Okay, so I'm going to take this part here the best I can. Okay, so it's kind of even and I don't have a lot of tape like on top of each other. Okay, let me open up it a little bit more. Okay. Ooh. Yes, pretty much what I want. Just leaving a tiny little bit of excess here so I can work with it, but actually I'm going to take it off. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so now I'm folding it on the inside and hoping that it doesn't mess up too much on these corners. Again, may not be the most perfect solution, but I think it's going to work for the color palettes that I'm going for. This one, which is going to be like gold, like yellow, black, but I'm going to paint some details golds in the end. You see when we do the like flap covering and going into the magnet here. Okay, so is it perfect? Absolutely not, but I think it works for the purposes that I want it to. Yeah, this one is not perfect at all, but I think this is good enough. And just as a test, let's put this deck here. And there we go, and there we go. Yeah, so it does work for what I want, which means that we can now wrap it together with this paper here. Okay, so the wrapping, how am I going to do this? I know that the most visible side here is going to be this one. Okay, I'm going to do that with double-sided tape as well because I think it's going to work for me, and I'm going to use this side internally because it has a little bit of imperfection here. Okay, so Let me think. I'm going to glue the base, or stick the base rather, and go from there. So let me put tape here. Okay, let me take this. And this also. And yes, I know this part will be covered when I create the flap on top, but I just think the best way to like cover the sides is having the bottom also covered, because it's like a seamless cover, you know, so everything connects together. Do I put more? I think I'm going to put just one more in the middle. And that's going to be all for the base. Okay, so this is where you're going to go. Yeah. I think this is it. So I have kind of a little bit of a dent on the paper, so I know where to put it. So let's just go for it. Got it. So more or less in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Great. Great. So when I fold it here, yep. So when I fold it here, yeah. Okay, I am going to get my little ruler here, and I just want a little bit of a guide on where to cut it. For both sides. Okay. Because you see, I'm going to cut here a little bit off the line, just a tiny little bit. Because what I want to do here is the following. I want to like fold this and this and cover it with this one, you know? But of course I'm going to reduce the amount of this one because it's too big, and also this one for the same reason. And I'm going to do the same to this side here. Just a tiny little bit of the line, as better as I can manage. And cutting a little bit of this flap out. And this flap doesn't matter if it's straight or not, because it's going to be hidden like so. Okay, so I know that this is my ending. I want it to be as uniform as possible. So based on this ending here, I want like 1.5 centimeters, because that gives me enough to fold it over, right? So I'm going to do the same to the other side so that I have it as even as possible. 1.5, and also here, because when I fold it to the sides, it's going to give me about the same. It's not going to be perfectly the same, but it's going to be visually enough to seem put together. Okay. Okay. Now, I have no perfect way of measuring this because I cut this, I think, too prematurely. That's the problem when you just go with the flow. But I'm going to try my best to like align this thing so it's as parallel as I can possibly get. If I hadn't cut this part before, like, is this from here? No, it's not from here. Is this one? Probably not. But let's pretend it is. I could use this line here as a guide, but I'm not going to do that now because it's already done. Let's not cry over the tiny mistakes we make. Okay. This one I can use like this, a tiny little bit here to help me actually. So let's try it. Okay. And actually I can use now this line to do that. So, and it's pretty much what I did, almost perfectly what I did. So that's, I'm going to count that as a win. And look at this one, also almost perfectly what I did. So this is the line. Okay, so let's cut it out. Okay, so I had to redo it because I made the line on the previous one based on this marking here, which is the size of the box, and we want a little bit more, like maybe that's a half an inch or close to that. I measured here 1.5 centimeters for me because I don't use inches, so I'm not very good at defining what an inch is or not. And now I know exactly what to cut. So now I'm going to cut using these markings that I made. So that's important to make sure you're putting the line in the correct place or everything's going to be wrong. Okay, now that it's all cut, you can see I cut the flaps and all. We can work around like folding things together and seeing how they will look. So what I'm going to do here actually is going to take a tiny little bit of these flaps just so it folds better in. Okay, and now this side here. So you just cut like this little triangle on the flaps, okay, not on the actual tab that is going to cover the side of the box. Okay, so that I can do this here and this here without having like too many problems. Okay. Okay, this is my magnet site. Okay. I think that's going to work. Though, no, that's going to work. Okay, now I'm thinking about eliminating this excess part of this flap, since things are going to be folded down. To do that, I'm gonna have to mark exactly where it folds, and I'm going to do the same for this side here. Okay, so I'm going to mark the position, the height of the box. And what I'm going to do here is just cut until this marking and then cut it off on all four corners. Is there a smarter way to do that? Probably, but I just want to get it done. Just want to get it done so I have my box. Okay, so this is going to be it, and you can see that it's contained here so that I can like put things together in the end. Okay, so now I'm going to just attach these things. Let me put some tape on this and this side here. Okay, so I want here, and I'm going to add some in here as well. Okay, also on this side. Okay, I probably should put another one here just as a precaution, guaranteeing that everything is going to be very well glued together or stuck together. So I'm going to do that because I'm already here. Okay, so let me get another little piece for this side. And then I can put it on the end of this flap. So my idea is that I can glue this like so. Yeah. Okay, so let me take the tops off. Okay, now I have to be careful so that thing stays very well in the correct place. Okay, So there you go. Seems good enough. And now I can do this one here. Okay. And this one on the other side. Okay. I think that works. And you see how I can fold it, but I'm going to need to cut a little bit off of it here and here so that I can fold it on the inside, and it's going to cover everything. Okay. I think I'm not going to glue this flap now. I'm going to work on this one first, so I have everything in place before I fold the tops into the insides. You need one here. These flaps could possibly be shorter, but I already started, so I'm not going to cut them down. Take these off, and let's take these ones off too. Okay, again, just come from the bottom to guarantee that it sticks well, and we go for both sides. Okay, and the same thing here. I'm going to cut a little bit off of it, and yes, it does fold inside. And there we have it. This one, same thing, just cut a little bit triangle of the top on both sides. Okay, and that means that I would do this with it, and there we go. Okay, so now we can glue the flaps. I am going to do the big ones first. I think, yeah, I have this tape that is exactly this size, so I don't have to cut this one in half on the long edge to make it work. I can just do something like this. Let me see if I can make it work. Yep. There. And there. Okay. The other side, I'm going to put all the tape before I start folding it inside. Now the small ones. Okay, this one went a little bit over top, but that's okay, we can cut that out. And I'm going to do the same to the rest. Okay, I put tape everywhere that needed tape, like the sides and the flaps. So I'm going to start by gluing these long flaps. Okay, so being just very careful with the corners. There we have it. And let me do the same to the other side again. Yes, great. Okay, these ones, I'm going to take the top of these tapes and glue this, and after that I'm taking the top of this tape and then glue it, and the same I'm going to do for the other sides. Okay, last flap. There we go. Perfect. Not really, but it works. And let's put my deck back in here. Okay, got it. Very snug, but not like super tight, so it comes right off and gets right in. Okay, so with this box ready, it's kind of easier to see what I'm going for. This is the mistake I made before. So I'm going to have like a base that comes around and a flap that comes here and magnetize with my magnet, which, let me take the deck out, which is on this side here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to measure this box on the cardboard. So I'm going to measure the base twice, and it's a little bit, but it's going to be covered. Okay, I'm going to measure the base twice, and then these sides here twice as well. So it's just going to be like around it. Most of the models that I see that have this concept that I'm trying to recreate, they leave a little bit of space here on this base and the flap that goes around. I don't want to leave too much. I'm going to leave maybe 1 or 2 millimeters just so that it covers it well. But I don't want to leave as big of a base of a border as these other ones do. Or maybe I don't want to leave a border at all. Okay, let me mark exactly the size actually. Let's see. Yeah, I think I like not leaving any space. Okay, so I have here the base. Sketch it out. Let me do this top again so I don't get confused. Okay, so I'm going to do this twice, and then I need these sides as well, so I'm going to do that also twice. But this sides, no, yeah, I need exactly the same size, because I would do a similar thing that I did with this box. That's when I'm gluing to the final paper, I'm leaving like a few millimeters between them, and that's going to allow for the folding to happen. So is it, let me do the base again, because the base I know it's going to be that size, and that's it. Okay. Okay, so my two bases. But this one, I think Yeah, I'm going to do it a little bit bigger because I wanted to do the same effect as here, like we can't see anymore, but on the last video I showed how it is a tiny little bit larger than the deck because I have the deck height and the thickness of the cardboard. So I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to do this box height plus the thickness of the cardboard on the bottom and on the top, since I'm going to have like bottom and top. So I know that the thickness here of these cardboards, it's 2 millimeters, I think. Let me check. Yeah, about 2 millimeters. So I'm going to add 4 millimeters to this one. And if I notice that I don't need that, I can always trim it down. You know, it's better to have it on a larger size than on a smaller size. So let me do the same thing here. This is the height, and I add 4 millimeters extra to it. Okay. So these are the dimensions I need. Okay, measurements made. The next phase would be cutting it out and wrapping it on the paper that I want to wrap it. But I also want to do some designs on the top. So I'm going to make that in another video, and this one is already too long, but the idea is basically that everything folds on this. And then I have my deck box. So stay tuned for the next part, in which I'm just going to come back with this all cut out and show you how I'm going to make a design on the cover of this. I see you then.